Welcome to Simply Caroline, a podcast dedicated to women empowerment where we will discuss a bunch of different subjects such as life, parenting, love, business, money, relationships, healing, recovery, addiction, entrepreneurship, and so much more. A podcast I'll do my best to keep simple, fun, and relatable and bring you tools to help you better your life. So thank you for being here. And here's your host, myself, Caroline Blanchard. Hello, everyone, and thank you for being with us again this week. So to continue our Powerful Women series, I invited one of my dear friends who is in the book, 22 Powerful Women in Network Marketing Reveal Their Key to Success, because she so belonged there. Waymatea Ellis, how are you?
Hi, Carolyn. I'm excellent. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. It's fall. I love fall.
Me too.
You too?
Yes, I love fall.
It's my favorite season.
It's mine too. How did I not know that about you?
Well, so there fun. You go. One more reason why we get along so well.
Here's to that.
Way, and Way is her nickname. So I will give myself the permission to call you Way. Way, talk to us a little bit about why did you come into this amazing book? And I have to say first, before letting you answer, Way's story is so amazing. It will give you goosebumps. This girl knows how to write, and she has such an interesting story. So what made you say yes when I invited you in the book?
Well, you just gave me goosebumps. I love that you're doing this book. I think that the more I heard you talk about your projects and how you really want to bring this knowledge and strength and community to women in network marketing, I got excited. And of course, when you asked me, I was like, really? Thank you so much. So it was a yes because it was you. And it was a yes because this is also a very unique time in history where the world is starting to use language that we in network marketing have been using for decades. And I'm hearing it even on sitcoms where they're using some of like side gig language or just the things that we already know. And even the personal development part, I'm hearing more and more companies embracing what network marketing has been doing since the inception of the idea of network marketing. So it gets me really excited to see something going from kind of like small group, really almost exciting knowledge that people know before everybody knows, and then to watch it go into the more mainstream, to be a part of that and to have a voice in that is so exciting. So it's very cool.
Awesome. And I know that, like me, there's a big part of network marketing that really, excites you, which is personal development. Mm-hmm. I was in corporate for 20 years before, and although I took quite a few trainings and, did seminars and all of that, it was never about growing myself. It was about growing my skills and my knowledge about, sales, negotiation, all these kind of things. So when I started in personal development, yes, I did start personal development when I started network marketing. But when I started in this industry, it really, almost shocked me to see that we're not teaching that in school.
I know.
And I know that you're really, really strong in personal development, and you were before network marketing. Like you were ahead of, you always have had the mentality of, you need to grow yourself to be better. So where does that come from?
Ooh, I like that question. My parents, I think that comes from my parents and probably my grandparents. But we were never idle on the weekends or anything. Like we didn't really even have permission to watch TV. Like in my house, I think we got like Mr. Dress Up and like Sesame Street on Saturdays or something. That was it. But other than that, we were either contributing by doing chores, or we were at piano lessons, or we were at figure skating, or we were volunteering, or we were in a band with my dad. And we did a lot of things that were more based on contributing and bettering our own skills and just being good. And that message was passed down to me, like, you need to work hard. This is a thing you work on, and not just for yourself, but for looking after your siblings or looking after another. And so both of my parents really instilled that. And you're right. When you were talking there, I think, well, because in corporate, they're developing your skills for the machine to produce more. Whereas in what we're doing, we're developing our skills for ourselves to be like autonomous, but also contributing to the group, which is radically different from everything going in one direction. So of course, I love that, because it's just the way I was raised. Like, okay, do practice piano every day, and also play at an elderly home, right? And give back. So it's just sort of like the way that I was, that's in my DNA, I think.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you just said that. That's in my DNA, because I just had a question coming to mind, and we so didn't talk about that before. So I'm sorry if I'm just surprising you here. But I think that a big part of it, because I know that you're really big about your culture, and, without getting into it too much, because that could be like 4 other podcasts. And, I would actually love to talk about it and really focus on it in another podcast. But in this one, let's say your culture, I feel, has a lot of that as well. Because if I look at my culture, we're very individualist. We're very about ourselves, without putting down anything. It's just 2 very different cultures. And I think that you're coming from a place where you guys always had to fight for your place. You always had to prove that you were good enough. And I please correct me, because I'm not sure I'm using the right words, but I feel that a big part of helping each other and being there and growing yourself and always being better is part of your culture.
Yeah. It's so funny, because you probably heard somewhere in your subconscious the end of the sentence that I didn't say, which was, my dad used to say, you're a young Black woman in this country, and you're going to have to work not 2 times, but 3 times harder than everyone else to show that you, I don't know how he would have ended that, but just to succeed. And so that is, and I think there's a myth that in my culture, which is, I have such a lucky upbringing, because I had my mom is Celtic background, my dad is African background, so I have like a really cool balance of 2 different ways of being. But what the thing is that that they instilled in us was, if you're contributing and it's good, then it's good for everyone, and that was on both sides. But definitely, especially growing up in small town Alberta, being the mixed race family in the 70s, we definitely had a lot to prove. And that came in the form of sometimes having to be way above in terms of work ethic and showing that we were good, way more effort than it would have been for everyone else, maybe, I'm guessing. But you're right, because we had community. So we had like the West Indian community, and we had weekend events, and we were always like we went to Black school on Saturdays and learned about Martin Luther King and Louis Armstrong. And like, we did a lot to fortify each other as a community, and that still carries on. I mean, we're here, 40 years later, 50 years later, and there's still so much of that. And our generation and my kids' generation, they benefit from that, because we're still in it. It's 2022, and we're still in this conversation of privilege and rank and all that. We could definitely have a different podcast for that, but it really has helped to buck the assumptions that people make that the fathers are absent or whatever. That's that has not been true in my experience. My father he cooked, he cleaned, he was a school teacher full time, and we were always like heading somewhere to do something together as a family. So it's just really fed my adult way of thinking in terms of how important it is for us to be there for each other and to help each other up.
Yes. And there's a part of me that always gets sad when I hear that because, you know, I know a little bit about that just by being a woman, that we always need to do 2 times more in a workplace, at least, to show that we belong in our position, whatever the position is. So I can't imagine like being a different race on top of that. And I've traveled with you and I spent a lot of time with you, and I hear you having conversation with your kids. Yeah. That I'm definitely not having with my kids. So that part makes me a bit sad because it's an extra, I don't want to say obstacle, an extra challenge to always have to raise up to. And I applaud you for that because you are such a graceful person and you do it so nicely and everyone loves you and you're able to pass your point across.
Thank you.
In a very intelligent and graceful way. So congratulations for that. And we will have a podcast on that. Yeah. But what I also love that it gave you is an ethic about you need to grow yourself. So you got that gift that not all of us got. So I mean, you know, there's a plus and a minus. Like for me, it was just like, well, you are who you are. Keep going. You know, it was always like, no, be the best that you can. So you're passing that on to your kids, but you also are working very hard. Well, I don't want to say very hard because, you know, let's face it, you're working a lot and passionately on something, but you are developing programs, you are developing you know, seminars and workshops and all of this to spread that joy to everyone, not to any culture specifically. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you. That has been you know, I'll give you a little history. There's a video out there of me and a lady by the name of Bridget has it from high school at our grad where we had quite a bit of whatever we were drinking, Molson Dry or something. And I'm in the camera going, I love you, I love you, I love you, and I love you. And it's just like, like at the age of, I think I was 17. And I that's just who I was, even when my most troubled, I mean, that was a troubled time. And till now, I still feel like love is at the heart of everything. And if I could somehow plant seeds like that, not that I'm sitting here meditating all day and in bliss and up in the, you know, high frequencies all the time without dips. I work, it has been hard work, you know, to re-regulate myself that way, to be happy and joyful. But if my programming helps people, and I do have like women's circles, open circles, people can gather, people can meditate, people can talk in safe spaces. And the goal is to release the chaos, release overwhelm, release depression, release brokenness, and embrace like the healing and the steps forward and the everyday feeding my soul with little reasons to be appreciative and happy and joyful and balanced, you know, and connected. That is work that feeds me. Like I'm doing it and I'm thinking, I'm so lucky that I get to do this because it expands my own awareness of how the light is inside of all of that. There's beauty inside of all of that. All of the trauma and the stories of pain. There's always a way to connect and go from despondency to anger to boredom to hope to joy to ecstasy. Like we can take these steps up. But I'm with you. This is another thing they need to be teaching in schools. This is something that we need to know because, a lot of people don't know. So that's why joyful being programming really does feed my heart.
Yeah. And I think you said the key word, and it sounds a little cliche because, you know, John Lennon said it like decades ago. love fix everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if I quoted the right one here, but I don't really care.
Yeah. All you need is love. I think it's all you need
all
is
you
love.
needed is love.
Yeah.
Isn't that the Beatles? Yeah. Whatever.
Oh yeah. So yeah.
You know, Way is good in the history of music. I'm just
That
good
was
at
really
listening
bad.
to it. But my point to this is that, you know, it's a bit cliche to say that love is the answer to everything, but isn't that true? And, you know, I can picture you like, I love you and I love you. And, you know, no, but remove I think that, you know, yes, maybe you had a few emotions to consume, but remove all of this. You are like that naturally. It's just that I think we stop ourselves from saying it this much because it almost feels weird to say it to people. And I saw a post on Facebook the other day. It was like, tell people close to you that you love them. Like, let's stop making this awkward. And I was just like, it's so true. Because, you know, sometimes I'll talk with a soccer gal that I'm not hanging out with her every day and we're not best friends, but she'll say something and I'm like, oh, I love you. And then the look that I get sometimes, it's like, are you okay? And I'm like, you know, it should be such a word that we're allowed to, and we are allowed to say it, but I mean, not feel any awkwardness. What do you have to say about that?
Oh yeah. And we're coming from the generation of the parents who you were lucky if you ever heard that in your lifetime. Many of us felt loved, but didn't hear it. But most of us didn't hear it. And it is cool to be in a generation like my siblings and I actually taught our parents to say I love you, because now like I hang up from my dad. He's like, I'm like, okay, bye. Okay, love you. Yeah, love you. Like, it's just like this extra thing on top, but it's become more like, it's just so endearing to me that both of them have that's just my little microscopic study of like the evolution of being allowed to say it. But and I also once heard somebody criticizing someone for saying "I love you" to a crowd, like in music, and I have done that before. It's love that's coursing through my body. If I'm in there's an audience and there's music and we're together and the energy is love, I'll say like, "I love you," and I feel even awkward saying it because it sounds so inauthentic or not personal, because I heard that criticism, somebody saying, well, that's not possible. Well, everything is love. Like the petals on the flower are that energy, that frequency is love. Like the rainfall, the animals in the forest, it's all love frequency. And just putting that word to it is hard for people, but feeling it is important. And if people can get brave to say it and be awkward saying it, and then eventually feel better saying it, wouldn't it be really nice to just be hanging up the phone from your friend like, hey, love you? And I do that now because I've given myself permission to do that. But more people need to feel like okay, that's new, because the feeling that comes from doing that and owning it, being it love frequently through the day, little seeds of beautiful connection. Why else are we here? Tell me why else we're here. I can't picture why else we would be living on Earth if it wasn't to embody that frequency of love. Like all the animals do it. Everything else does it. Why aren't humans doing it?
Well, I think it's because we have the shame, the fear, so many feelings attached to it. But before going any further, I didn't introduce Way properly. She's a JUNO Award nominee. She's an amazing reggae singer. So she's not just standing on stage telling that to people. She's actually giving a show and then she says it, so I just want to clarify that, because otherwise it sounds a bit like woohoo, but she doesn't just get up on stages to say that. But with this being clarified, it's funny because as I was listening to you, I was thinking, why is it awkward to say? And I think that for me anyway, it's that love has always been attached to commitment, engagement, and, let's take a relationship, for example, because that's the easiest example. If you start dating someone, It's like, it's not proper to say I love you on the first 3 dates or whatever. I don't even know what's the norm anymore. Like, I haven't dated forever, but my point is, if you would tell someone on the first date, oh my gosh, I love you. Anyway, when I was younger, it was like, do never, ever say that. You will scare the person. And you only say that when you're ready to commit and when you're sure it's real. So for me, I realized that love was attached to something that has to be bulletproof. And there is that kind of love, and there is unconditional love, and there is a love for your mother and your kids. And, I feel there's different degrees of love, but when we just say love and how to say to people, I love you, for me, I realize it's one thing that always, a little limiting belief in my mind that is always like, but would I really risk my life for them? And it's, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's attached to such a meaning.
Yeah. It's like there's a limited definition of love, and that it's kind of, it's almost like it would be good to rename it and call it something else, because then it wouldn't have the Hollywood stigma or the storybook expectations. It would just be a thing called like, I think it's like, I don't know, 587 hertz or something. Like, I have all these like frequency things on my playlist, and I think love is, I could be wrong, I think it's 587. So maybe we should just call it 587 or whatever that, like
587 you there.
Yeah. You and I with 587. Like, I think.
Let's start this trend, people. So let's start that. We'll do that.
Let me just, while we're talking, I'm going to look it up because I want to get the right number.
Because we want to start
the love frequency,
the real trend. So this is funny because we were not planning on talking about love, but I feel like we're talking about this because people need to hear about this. And I love with these podcast interviews, what I love is that we go where it takes us.
Exactly.
And, we started all with the book that we're launching this weekend, actually. And, if you go on my website, simplycaroline.com, you will have all of the details of the launch. If you want to come and attend our online gala, it's going to be on Amazon and all of that. But the one big thing that I realized that is very, because I read the whole book, I'm the only one that read the whole book for now. But I would say really that the common denominator for the whole book is love. Because we are in an industry that we love. That's what we're sharing in this book. It's to break the old stigmas. It's to talk about an industry for what it really is. But it's also, the love that it takes to succeed, the love for yourself, the love for others. And we're not using that word in the book. I'm just like, now I'm realizing it's really the common denominator.
Yeah.
So talk about how, when I say that way, it's like you have a team with you that is working with you. And see, traditionally I was going to say under you, and it's not under you really. That's really the corporate mentality. You work with your team because you won't be successful if your team is not. And I think that's one of the places where the stigmas come from, because people don't understand that 100%. So talk to us a bit about that. Like, what is your passion into developing your business, regardless of the products that you're actually selling? Yeah. What's your passion into making this bigger, helping people succeed, which ultimately made you a very powerful person in this industry and a very successful person. So I'm gonna stop talking.
Well, no, you've made me realize something that I might not have said before, but I think what gets me fired up in my network marketing business and any business where I'm helping others and we're developing relationships and helping people get brave and do things they maybe wouldn't have done without someone helping them, is that it's an establishment of trust between people, because almost everybody comes in going, well, what's in it for you? Why are you doing this? Like, how come you're doing it? And like, full transparency, anybody who, if they're in my team, then my business grows, right? My business doesn't grow though without helping them grow. So the trust piece is almost a battle between people just viewing business relationships as adversarial versus collaborative and helpful. And when I see that light bulb come on, when somebody gets their paycheck or their free product or their rank up or their free gift or whatever the thing they got because they did something that they wouldn't have done before, and I was a part of that, I even have goosebumps talking about it, because there's what happened actually is that they trusted me or the company or their team or the leadership or the training enough to do something new, scary, and get out of their limited belief of what they are allowed to do or who they're allowed to be or whatever. And not only that, but they're also facing stigmas that are outdated and untrue, as the beautiful, I did a little bit of reading in the intro. I'm not going to give anything away, but that is one of the things that comes up a lot in the book is there's outdated ideas about what it is. And because we're living in such a contentious time, if people only follow the media, only follow the worst news, then they can't believe that there would be a selfless reason for someone to help. Because especially in the company that I'm in, and of course I love my own company, Neora, but I get a lot of help from people who don't benefit from my success. I frequently get help from people who are simply just taking me under their wing and saying, here, do this. For example, you and I, we're not even on the same thread of success. I don't know how to put it for people don't understand, but if I succeed,
let's put it clear. It's like, we don't benefit each other financially.
Thank you. So if I do well, Carolyn doesn't get a bigger paycheck. And if Carolyn does well, I don't get a bigger paycheck. But we're constantly in communication with each other about personal development, getting better at what we do, being more confident, questions about our even existence, about the whole thing, like deep conversations about it. And it's helpful, and it brought us closer as people. And the relationship actually is more important than the business. And that is what makes me excited. Like, I've made so many friends that some of them have never built their business, even though they joined the team, and we're still friends. Like, it's just this beautiful connection of people who are happy to help you succeed and aren't going to be mad at you if you choose your own path. Like, I want that in my life. I want unconditional and unattached good relations in my life. And that's what I feel puts me on fire about network marketing, among other things, but that's a big one.
And I love that you said that, because, when we're talking about powerful women in network marketing, of course, our mind goes to how much money are they making? Mm-hmm. That's where I'm sure 99% of people's mind is going.
Yeah.
I call that book because for me, powerful is not only about financial. It's also about, if you can be a leader that people follow for no other reason than you're a good person and they follow you, that's powerful to me. If you can help someone change the course of their lives by not necessarily helping them to do more money, to make more money, but also to discover themselves. Like, I had people join my team that from the moment that they started to 5 years after, it's crazy to see the evolution, not of their paycheck, because some of them did zero, but of their view, of their mindset, of, the quality of their life. And for me, that's more rewarding. Of course, the money is rewarding, and I don't want to put that aside. It is also the way that we chose to earn our life. Yeah. But I mean, we all have a way to earn our life. Money is essential, basically. Yeah. Just like, is it Zig Ziglar that says that? Like, money is just at the same place as oxygen. You need it.
Exactly.
You have a choice on how you will do that.
That's right.
Some people choose a conventional job. We chose something else.
Yeah.
And I completely lost where I was going with this.
No, but I remember where you're going with it. It was like, what gives me passion to do it? And you just hit on the other piece that gives me passion to do it, because I'm a solo mom. I've been a solo mom for most of the 18 years. I mean, there was about 5 years in there that I was married, but most of it. And I joined the company that I'm in right now when I was going through the separation to become a solo mom. And I could have gone back. I'm a homeschooler. Okay. So I didn't want to change my lifestyle, and I'm stubborn. So that also really helped me because, and I have a good way of visualizing things. I'm like, what's possible? So just universe, show me what's possible. I love meeting moms who feel like they have to give up their dream of how they wanted to be with their kids in order to survive, and just giving them a different idea. That is amazing, because we're raised in the school system. We do this, you go to college, or you don't, or you get this job, or you stick it out and you do things you don't want to do. Well, what if that's not true? What if you get to do your life the way you want to do it, even if you are this, the stigma of being a single mom or whatever? People, I'm like, no, let's just own that and be a queen about it. I'm going to own that. I am the ruler of my empire, and I get to say what I'm doing. And yes, sometimes I go to work and do things for dollar exchange for time. But at the same time, I get to build myself a little dream, a little thing that I'm not only helping myself, my kids, I'm helping other people too. And then eventually, as I noticed over the years of doing it, it starts to become more and more evident that my life is upgrading on my terms. I mean, I'm living in a house right now that I put in a dream lit, like my diary entry 5 years from now, like literally up to the birds flying outside the window. I had pictured this. I pictured being like, my daughter just turned 18. She graduated. I did that. I didn't do that. She did that. But I was able to get all the way through grade 1 to grade 12 homeschooling, mostly by myself. Why? Because there are other ways to earn money. There's other ways to make a living. And telling other women that, not just women, but I tend to gear, and I'm attracted to those who are like, oh, I got to do it. No, do you? Like, who said you have to do that? What if there's another way? And so that is the other piece that gets me so excited, especially about this book, because in this book, there are many women, different walks of life, different backgrounds, corporate, school teachers, different people, different things. And here we are learning their ways that they created the dream that they wanted on their terms.
Yeah. And yes, I love that. And you and I have something similar, is that our younger kid was raised into network marketing, so raised into personal development. But you were ahead of me. But me, I started when I joined network marketing 10 years ago, and I can see the difference between my youngest and my oldest. The way they talk is different, because the youngest, since she's little, she's doing her 3 gratitude every day. She didn't know how to write. She would draw them, but she was sitting beside me in the bed, and we would do that. So I raised her differently. Yeah. And I can see the difference when I look at my 3 kids. But that aside, and I see, I had the privilege to spend almost a week with your daughter, and you, the youngest one. Yeah. And she is so sweet. And we tend to categorize that into like, oh, wow, she's mature for her age, just like what people are saying of my daughter. But I just think that we opened our mind to something broader, you know? They're not in the same box as, a lot of kids. Yeah. But what I want to talk here, because that's one thing that when I met you, I was so impressed. First of all, that you did it. And second of all, that you were disciplined enough to make it work. You wrote, was it 18 or 22 pages letter? I'll let you 22. Tell that story, and it's in detail in your chapter. Yeah. But talk about that process, because that is so huge. And, when you visualize, and I read a lot about it, I know a lot about it, but it's something else to practice it on a consistent basis. Yes. And you're a queen at that.
Thank you. I'm very lucky in that I had very early on, when I was a very troubled teenager, in and out of care and suicidal at 13, like really, really struggling, that somebody came along and gave me, it was my dad's wife, gave me an Abraham Hicks cassette in the middle of that. And so from the age of 13, I've been I felt relief from that original thing. She kept sending them to me, and I've listened to the law of attraction material for most of my life. So even when things were the darkest, I've always been feeding myself that information. And so when I did, at the time that you're talking about was 2015, where my husband had moved out and we were living in a house that I couldn't afford and things were falling apart. And I wrote a 22-page letter thanking the universe in advance for all the things that I would. Basically, it was like opposite day. Everything I'm living right now, I wrote the letter to say, I'm so happy and grateful now that we have an abundance of groceries and that the yard is fun for the kids to play in and the house is beautiful and clean and that everything. And I even wrote in there like, I'm so happy and grateful now that my skin, because I was noticing I was looking older. It was such a stressful time. And I was like, and I look so youthful. Like I just went all in. And then I folded that letter and I still have it here. And I read it every morning and every night. And so when the opportunity came, when Krista came over and told me that she had heard about this company, I knew instantly that I recognized that this was the thing. And I got shivers down my body. And I think back and I think I planted that seed of hope, but I never dug it up to say like, where is it? I just kept, we had to move. We were at the food bank and I was still reading that letter every morning and every night and doing my meditation. And the reason why I knew that worked is because it did with my band and the JUNO nod and everything that we got, all the awards that we ever had. I wrote all that down. I did win in my letter. I did win the JUNO in my letter. So that's still coming. That's still coming down the road.
Oh yeah. It's still
coming.
Yeah.
I just need to break out that letter and read it again because I do believe, and even to the number, like I think in my letters to the universe about the band, I was like, and we've played to, I think 60,000 people. And that was the top crowd size we ever played to. So like stuff like that, you can't make that up. And so I believe in putting it out there and then not criticizing the universe for not providing it the next day. Because if I said, oh, I'm so happy and grateful there's an elephant, and then one showed up in my room, that would be a bad thing. Like we need time to adjust to the thing we're asking for. And so I would just encourage anybody, if you're listening and you're thinking, well, how do I do that? Just get a piece of paper, even one page, don't do 22, one page, and be like, I'm so happy and grateful now that I feel well and laugh every day. And then read that to yourself in the morning and read it to yourself at night. And then you'll start to be like, ha ha ha, oh, oh, that was a laugh. I didn't even, and it's just like acknowledging that there's reasons to believe in the law of attraction and the law of expectation, the law of assumption. And it's just like the law of gravity. It simply is, whether you use it or not, whether you're aware of it or not, it is, I want to correct what I just said. Whether you're using it consciously or not, it's happening. So I highly encourage you to get excited about what's possible if you just stick it out and don't get mad, because it was like 8 months of reading that letter. And then finally, here it came. And I was like, ooh, cool. And by a week from then, I was buying organic produce at the grocery that was also in my letter from joining the company. So like just having faith, putting it out to the universe, but in joy, in love, in expectation of goodness, in seeing the best in yourself and others, because that frequency is what the universe operates out of. So gratitude while saying thank yous about future things is, to me, the magic formula.
Yeah, and the other magic formula that you said is consistency. You have to do it for more than 4 days in a row. And you said another key thing, when we plant a seed, there's the one who will let the seed grow. And anyone who ever planted a garden or whatever, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and someone in the book is talking about that story.
Oh, good.
But if you go and you dig it up the next day to see what's going on, you're going to kill it. Even me, who's not a gardener, I know that. So you have to give it time. And if I think about a Chinese, I want to say proverb, but it's not even true. If you think about a bamboo tree, they have to nurture it for 5 years.
Yeah.
before it starts, growing. And then once it starts, it's an amazing growth. The speed is super fast.
Yeah.
But can you imagine 5 years? You have to have a lot of faith that, first of all, it was a good seed, because you'll only find out in 5 years. But, my point to this is a very hard thing. Anyway, for me, that has always been that, and I know a lot of people, is that it's consistency. So you have, like, someone will hear the podcast today and be like, I'm doing this because I want what this girl has, and I believe in her, and I know it's going to work. And then you do it for a week and then you're done. Or you do it for a week and then, the 8th day, you're like, this is such boo-boo. It's not working. How do you keep your consistency, Way?
That's a good question. I build it into my schedule. That's the answer. I have a schedule. In fact, I'm going to show it to you. I just rewrote it, and I have a week 1 and a week 2. And in the morning, I don't know if you can see, if you're listening, I'm just going to describe it to you. It's my week. I took our Neora planner and I blew up the pages and I taped them together, because I'm a teacher. I do lots of weird things. It's all color coded, but in the morning, I have between 5:30 and 7:30 a.m. It's Radiant Way. That's what it's called. And that includes going to the gym, or today I did dance party or whatever, dance party workout on YouTube. By the way, I'm not as cool as I thought I was, but so exercise, meditation, appreciations. And then if there's time, I listen to Self-Talk Plus Shad Helmstetter. So I just it's 2 hours, and sometimes I'll sleep in. So maybe an hour and a half of that, and it is in my schedule. And if it doesn't happen, then I don't feel good, and then my day doesn't go well. And then after that, I've got like my work, I've got school, I've got the kids, I've got this call. Like, I've not necessarily this call, but like I've got space for my calls and stuff. And then at the end of the day, go to bed. I go to bed, right? So if I don't do that, if I don't take care of my mind, body, spirit, and my relationships, then the consistency isn't there, because it's built in. I said that to my kids the other day. Like, my dad has band practice every Sunday. Since I know him, that's it. Like, since forever. So, but what does that mean? It means we all eat dinner with dad every Sunday. Whoever shows up eats dinner with dad. And, some people don't see their parents very often. My mom comes and picks up my daughter every Thursday. It's built in to the schedule. So the things that matter to me, my values, which are spirituality, my family, integrity, like my stuff, it's all built in to my schedule. And then my schedule is my boss. And I'm not saying it's perfect, but I'm saying without that, I would just be like, what am I doing today? Oh, I'm going to go outside and water the flowers. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then before I know it, it's 5 o'clock and I'm like, oh, I better make dinner. Like, I don't know how a person would succeed at being consistent without scheduling it in.
Yeah. And I love that you said that. It's my specialty.
Yes, you are.
Scheduling. And if you listen to Way and you're a bit like me, you're like, 2 hours in the morning, are you crazy? It's like, I don't have that time. You don't need to put aside 2 hours.
No.
Way has a beautiful lifestyle that she's able to do that. But even if you put 10 minutes to journal, the point that I really want you to keep here is planning really helps you achieve anything if if you're only thinking about joy or health or whatever. Living intentionally is so rewarding. Yeah. And I know I've only been doing it for the last 10 years. I've winged everything else. And I mean, I had big success and I ran, big companies and all of this. I had my schedule there that I would follow, but the rest of my life was not intentional. Yeah. I still did everything very well, but inside of me, I was tired. I was always in the rat race. I was always thinking like, oh my goodness, what's next? What's next? You're living reacting. And that is actually very tiring. Yeah. And for me, it gave me a lot of anxiety. Yeah. So when you plan your things, first of all, you have to treat it as your boss. Yes. That becomes your boss in itself. But when you start living intentionally, what will happen is exactly what Way said. When you don't do it, you won't feel great. Yeah. It will become something that you need because it is very rewarding. And that is something that we're all worth putting time in. And, quite often, especially us women, we don't put that time in for ourselves.
Yeah.
So even like having a schedule, if I remember when I used to write like massage in my schedule, I was like, I had this pit in my stomach of like, well, I should be doing, meal prep or doing something for the kids, or it was weird to write that. Now when I write it, I highlight it and
put sparkles around it.
Almost. Yeah, glitter. But my point is, when you start planning your things, it's easier to take time for yourself.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the time is allotted how it should be. So,
and I want to, if I may, just add one thing, because it's brilliant what you just said, because you're also teaching your children to put themselves first. A lot of what you just described, what people do feel guilty, is teaching, especially our girl children. And I don't want to be stereotypical, but just, everybody comes before you. I don't want them to think that. I want them to put their oxygen mask on first. So I just wanted to add that in, that by leading by example, now we're raising independent girls who do their affirmations in the morning, because that's what comes first. They feed their souls first. So I'm all about celebrating that.
No, and hearing that, I'm also thinking they will probably be a different generations of mothers.
Yes, they will.
Because, we were thought about like be a superwoman, do it all. And then if you have 5 minutes left at the end of your life, well, you can read a book.
Yeah, right. It's true. It's so true.
Oh, yeah. My mom was a super mom and she did it all. So to this day, sometimes when I don't do something, I'll feel guilty. I'll feel like I'm a bad mom. But then, right away, I catch myself and I'm like, no, my kids are well dressed, well fed. They have a roof, blah, 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 blah. So, but it is ingrained super deeply. So by starting new generations like that, it's going to, future will be bright.
I love it.
Way, I absolutely love you. And I'm so happy that you came here on this podcast today. What would you leave people this one thing with that you really want them to absorb? And because you said a lot of amazing golden nuggets, but what's your last one that you would,
Here's what we just talked about yesterday on my women's circle. And it was such a moment of like relief. The act of purely witnessing the world or others without any expectation from them to be different or behave a certain way is the key to your freedom. Just being in life, feeding your soul, contributing to others with zero expectation of anybody else's response or behavior, is like the central little nugget that will free you from most of the discord in your heart, in your mind. Just live and let live. And I wish I knew who said that. It's probably somebody really famous. But just live. Again? Is it Lenin? Are we coming back to Lenin?
I don't know.
Like Napoleon, but I don't know. I'm a history teacher. This is terrible.
No, but I just have this song like "Live and Let," and sorry, I'm not gonna try to compete against you here.
No, I think that was "Live and Let Die." Live and let die. I don't know.
Okay, so it's really time to wrap up this.
But truly, and the last piece to add on to that, which is the key, I always tell my kids, it's okay to make mistakes. So we got all the quotes wrong today, and that's okay. We hope you're full of juicy, happy, golden nuggets of awesomeness. And even though we made mistakes, and so giving yourself permission to make mistakes and just doing the best you can, to me, that's good. good life.
Yes. And thank you for this precious advice of live life without expectations. I think I needed to hear that too today. Because whether it be the expectations toward in your relationship, towards your kids, towards your job, towards yourself, you know, we're driven by expectations. And that's probably the hardest thing to let go. But, you know, yes, I do believe that that's a huge piece to freedom and happiness. So thank you so much, Waymatea. It was such a pleasure having you.
I love your podcast, and I hope that you just keep going, because I mean, first of all, I'm going to be on here a few more times, so I'm just inviting myself right now. But your messages and your guests are incredible and powerful, and just so many blessings on you and this amazing Simply Caroline.
Thank you so much. And to everyone who was here this week, or if you're listening in replay, thank you so much. If you have any comments or questions, you can write at info@simplycaroline.com. I will put all of Way's information if you want to reach her, if you want to, you know, see what her amazing products are, or listen to her songs. Like this girl has so much to offer. So I will put all of her links, and I will see you next week.